Here we go. Another Blazer related project. What happened here is on our drive to Niagara Falls and back, again like 800 kilometers or so, when we got home I could smell a faint smell of coolant from the front end of the truck, and it was about 1:30 in the morning. I didn't look at it that night, but the next day I came outside and I started digging around. And what I found is the spout on the radiator on the driver's side at the top has a split in it. It's not in a spot that can be repaired, so I ordered a new radiator. So now I'm going to drain the coolant, I'm going to catch it, recycle it, I'm going to flush out the engine, try to get all the remnants of the old coolant out of there. And then I'm going to put my new rad in and I'm going to refill the system, and let's hope that everything after that will be alright. There's many videos out that show you how to properly flush and clean out your cooling system in your car, so I'm not going to go through the details. I'll just show you a couple of quick highlights as I'm doing the procedure and installing this radiator. My old radiator did have an oil cooler, but if you remember a couple of videos ago, I did delete the oil cooler on this truck. So my new radiator, when I ordered it, I saved a little bit of money because I ordered it without the oil cooler. This does have a transmission cooler. Those are the lines that are located on the front of the radiator. Those tie into the trans. Otherwise, this is a very straightforward procedure. If you can't see it, that's where the split is, right where this spout ties into the plastic. When I pull back on it, that crack developed a little more and more in this seam here, so it's really not an accessible spot. So in this scenario, the best thing is to remove and replace. I'm going to work on a different fan mount here. That's a little bit questionable. It did the job, however. The bottom fits into this fan shroud, but the top I had to do something. This was taken out of my Grand Am, my 94 Grand Am, from a 3.1 liter V6. The fan clears okay as long as you cut off the extra stud from the water pump. Everything fits alright. Very little clearance, but it's enough. So I've got to undo the overflow, the trans cooler, and then this rad's ready to pop right out. So the rad's been removed. Obviously all the hoses have been disconnected and removed, with the exception of the heater hoses. Those are going to stay. Everything has been flushed out. The water you see on the ground with the red coloring in it is actually the oil from the transmission. It did rain last night, so I already had a puddle started here, but I just hosed down everything under the engine bay here, so that's where this puddle developed from. Everything else was dropped in the drop catch, poured from the basting, I don't know, the roasting pans I suppose, and into jugs. So that's all been cleaned out. It's very, very diluted at this point. So I did use the hose to flush everything, so I shouldn't have any, I basically flushed until I didn't see any more color. Everything that was coming out was clean water, so that was the goal, to get everything cleaned and prepped. Next is the installation, which is the exact opposite of the removal. I'm not going to do that right now. It is Canadian Thanksgiving weekend, so I'm going to be going to do some family stuff for this afternoon. And so this guy can just sit and relax now for a little while, and I'll come back and tackle it probably tomorrow. new rad is in. I've got 1 bottle of coolant plus about 3/4 of that full of water already in the system. I'm seeing the top of the line in there, but I know the heater core's empty, so I will have to start it and top it up, let it heat up, wait till the thermostat opens, top it up the rest of the way, check for leaks, seal the system, and then top it up again. So my new upper rad hose is routed about the same path as the old one was, where it curls under away from the serpentine belt. It's actually strapped to the cooling fan, and then it goes up in between the gap between the alternator and the air intake, so that's good. So let's start this baby up. Something don't sound right with that fan. Maybe there was a little bit of slop on that belt still from the change. Okay, test that cooling fan. Sounds like it's on. Oh yeah, she's moving. Good. We'll leave that off so it has a chance to heat up. And then we'll turn the heat on in here. So you can get the air bubbles out of that heater core. There. Now we'll let her warm up. So this is the second time, I believe, that I'm opening the system now to try to bleed out the air. I still suspect that there's an air bubble in there, so now I've got the truck parked on an angle with the rad cap at the highest point, hoping that that's going to help me get that air to head up toward the cap here. Yeah, looks pretty full. I'm going to just top it up a little ways, and we'll let it set and see what happens. So I just took this thing for a, we'll call it a spirited test drive. Initially I had the cooling fan on and the heater on. It's a warm day, so it got a little too much, and I decided to shut it off, try it without the cooling fan, without the heater blasting. And the thermostat on the dash anyways, which I know the gauge is working, it didn't really want to climb. It stayed low, which I was kind of surprised. I was curious if something was wrong. So then I did about I don't know, I'd say for 30 seconds, I held the brake down about as hard as I could, and I sat still, and I was just pushing the gas, getting a lot of heat built up under the hood with the cooling fan off, the heater off, and then finally I was watching the temperature gauge start to climb, and I got close to 100. I switched on my cooling fan and it dropped right back down. So that is actually running a little bit cooler than the truck ever ran beforehand, but it makes sense because it's brand new radiator now. So the odds are it's clean, it's not gummed up with anything. The fins will be working properly, so I'm happy with that. That's perfect. There was almost no top up on the last time that I checked the cooling system. So next time I go to take this out, I'll check it once more. So I'll leave the antifreeze there so I can remember it. But so far I think we're successful here.